In Hattiesburg, it was very uncomfortable right out of the gate for the folks that were clad in black and gold. But as the game went along, those folks got a little more comfortable all the way to downright giddy when it was all said and done. Mississippi State came from behind, and they won in their ball game against North Alabama. I say came from behind. Did they ever actually trail in the game? They were down 2-1, weren't they?
No. They led 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they got it done. Mississippi State gets the win, and that's what they had to do. And now they get ready for the final weekend of the regular season. When it was all said and done, 8-4 was the final. Not a whole lot of drama, but it took a while to get to that spot where it was comfortable for Mississippi State. Ole Miss jumped out to a 4-0 lead last night over the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. And they did it in emphatic fashion right out of the gate. Leadoff single for Luke Hill, followed by a 2-run home run from Andrew Fisher. Got 2 runs in the second inning. And
boy, it's hot. Jeez.
Fortunate, up to 21. Was it 20 last night?
I believe it was 20.
Yeah. And then, frankly, Southern Miss was fortunate to get out of the second inning with only giving up 2 runs. And so after an inning and a half, Ole Miss had a 4-0 lead over the Golden Eagles. Who among the Ole Miss fans knew, though, that that would be the last time the Rebels would cross home plate in the ballgame? Southern Miss chipped away. They got a run back. Then they had back-to-back 3-run innings. And Borky, the pitching for Southern Miss, went from shaky at best to lights out the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and that the difference in the game, right? I mean, Southern Miss they got punched in the face early, and without the settling down, if you will, from the handful of pitchers that they threw last night, that they would have had no chance. But that kept them in the game and allowed their offense to chip away, and then boom, had an explosion and won the game. That was impressive. That was kind of indicative of the season too, right? That game was also kind of what Southern Miss baseball was this year. They didn't get off to the best start. There was, you had a couple of Sunday losses that weren't good. You had midweek losses that were concerning, and conference play didn't get off to a great start. And then they started pitching it well, and they settled in, and the bats came along, and boom, they rattle off this big winning streak. That was last night too. You get punched in the mouth early, weird start. You're down 4 runs in the second inning is down big. You're down big early. You settle in, you pitch it well. Offense comes along, and boom, you get a really big win, a really helpful RPI win to keep that streak going. That was impressive from Southern Miss last night, a mentally tough win for them.
And look, I know that ultimately you point to what the Golden Eagles did in the 5th and the 6th inning when they put up 3 runs and 3 runs to take the lead that they would not relinquish. But I actually thought the bottom of the second was really important for Southern Miss. They'd given up 2 in the top of the first, given up 2 in the top of the second. They're down 4-0. And Carson Paetow flew out to left field on the first pitch of the inning that he saw in the bottom of the second inning. They got Nick Monaster to pop out to second base in a hitter's count. So you got 2 quick outs. 2 outs on 5 pitches, leading 4-0, and all the momentum in the world. And then Russo was hit by a pitch with an 0-1 count. Odom followed it with a single. Seth Smith was hit by a pitch. So you go from 2 outs cruising to bases loaded with 2 outs. And now Southern Miss is in that spot where it's like, all right, got to come up with a big hit. Well, they didn't. Dalton McIntyre drew a full count walk. But it broke the ice.
Yeah.
They're on the board. After 5 pitches and 2 outs, all of a sudden they kind of string together. They're helped out by Ole Miss, and they knock the goose egg off the board, and you're like, okay, everybody take a breath. And then Southern Miss goes to the bullpen. Cross Sibley, not great in the first inning. Landon Payne, not great in the second inning. But, oh, goodness, J.B. Middleton came in, and, boy, he settled things down. 3 innings, no hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Completely changed the game.
100%. And that's an Ole Miss lineup that has really come into form lately as well. I mean, that he didn't just shut down just anybody. It was a team that was not only a hot start to the game, but they've been hitting the baseball really well, and he silenced them quickly. That was really impressive.
Here's the thing. After those first 2 innings where Ole Miss scored 4 runs, Southern Miss gave up 1 hit the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So the combination of J.B. Middleton, Ben Riley-Flowers, Josh Ock, and Colby Allen gave up 1 hit, walked 1, and struck out 8. It was a buzzsaw the rest of the way on the mound for the Golden Eagles. We'll talk more about the Farm Bureau. Luke, for an inning and a half last night, it didn't look great for the Golden Eagles. And then about an hour later, it looked really good for the Golden Eagles. There were some nerves at Pete Taylor Park that were in full effect right out of the gate.
Yeah, after 4 pitches, Ole Miss had a 2-0 lead, and Carl Sibley settled down, but the damage had been done. And that, they started him last night just to try to get, an inning because, like everybody else, conference for Sunbelt starts tomorrow for the weekend because of the tournament next week. So he was just, you could get a scoreless frame you would think with Sibley, but, man, he served one up, and Fisher knocked it out there in the roost. And so the Eagles are down. Landon Payne comes in and gives up another 2. And so, yeah, after 2 innings, my thought was if Southern Miss were going to win this game, it was going to be a 10-9, 11-10, and what the bullpen did last night was probably more incredible than what the offense did with 2 outs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit ago. After that second inning, when Ole Miss had a 4-0 lead, Southern Miss pitchers allowed 1 hit the rest of the game. That was 1 hit that Ben Riley-Flowers gave up in his 2 innings of work. The job that J.B. Middleton did, though, to settle that game and really dominate was I thought that's when it changed.
Yeah, for me, Middleton coming in and getting those innings, he's only pitched 1 time in the last 16 days, and that was the Sunday Louisiana game. He gave up 4 runs in a third of an inning. And so for the last really 2 weeks, he's been playing more with a 2-seamer, and that's what he used last night rather than his typical 4-seamer that he can run up sometimes, 96, 97. And he had just tons of success with it, got 5 strikeouts. But you mentioned Ben Riley-Flowers, guy at East Mississippi Community College from Saraland, Alabama. They've been trying to get his velo up a little bit. He's from the left side. He hit 96 last night. And you look at what he did now. Best didn't pitch last night, but going forward, if Flowers can do that, along with Middleton, we all thought Middleton was going to be the closer. It looks like Colby Allen has, as we head into postseason, is the closer, and so Middleton might actually be a middle reliever. But if the Golden Eagles could get bullpen work like that, they instantly now are back into winning, 3 games in a regional.
To me, there were a couple of things that stood out. First of all, the bottom of the second. I thought the run that the Golden Eagles scratched out there in the bottom of the second after 2 quick outs, it was 2 outs on 5 pitches. And, a lazy fly ball to left, a pop-up to the second baseman, and it looks like things are just going to keep clipping along. And then you go hit batter, walk, hit batter, walk, and boom, Southern Miss is on the board. And even though they only scored 1 there, I thought that was the moment that let everybody, fans, players, coaches, everybody just kind of go, all right, now it's just a baseball game. Right? I mean, it's not spiraling out of control. We're on the board. It's like everybody was able to settle down and just play ball after that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was I kind of took it a little bit the other way because I said Southern Miss ended up leaving 9 on last night. And I said, okay, here's Pratt with the opportunity. And what has been with the Eagles have lost games, it's because they haven't capitalized early like that.
Okay.
Pratt, made up for that coming back. But I think it's a fair point for you just as to make over the course of 9 innings. In some ways, they did show, they fought and then they were able to scrap. But, yeah, I think and you look at, what happened a little after that, Ole Miss could have taken a 6-0 lead and didn't. So, yeah, the one the one in the bottom of the second, but just kind of the punch back to what Ole Miss hit them with in the first 2 innings, I think really helped later in the game.
Well, and then you get to the late innings of the ball game where you got Josh Ock on the mound in the 8th and Colby Allen on in the 9th. And, I mean, this is a credit to what they did on the mound, but I thought Ole Miss helped them, right? I mean, no patience at the plate. 7 pitches for Josh Ock in the 8th inning to get 3 outs when you're down 3 runs, and 6 pitches for Colby Allen to get 3 outs in the 9th. I mean, it was Ole Miss was helpful at the end of that ball game and kind of closing it out the way they did.
But even at the top of the 9th, I mean, Burford smoked one to right, and if that ball gets by Pato, that's maybe a leadoff double, leadoff triple, and the Rebels have momentum in the top of the 9th. Pato laid out and made a nice play in right field. But yeah, I didn't know the approach. I would like to ask you, because I was a little confused about it. Why do you think you went to Dennis so quick in the bottom of the 5th? Because that's when, it got out of control again. Eagles were able to tie it up.
I think it's because he's watched that movie before. Like when Grayson Saunier kind of loses it tends to go quickly. The truth of the matter is, though, that from a bullpen standpoint, Ole Miss has had issues all season long. It was like the 5th or 6th game that Cole Tolbert has pitched in all season and hasn't been terribly effective. I thought Ryan Rodriguez did a pretty good job when he came in. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably just 70 pitches, gotten hit a little bit there, saw it falling away and decided it was time. That's my guess. Hey, I do have a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
What's the point of replay? Like, if you've got replay to use to take a call that is wrong on the field and overturn it so that you can get it right, why not use it? Like, what's the point of pausing the game, going to replay, watching the replay? It's abundantly clear to everybody else that's looking at it, but the 3 blind mice tend to not always get it right.
Yeah, it's baffling sometimes. It goes both ways. Sometimes you just kind of smile when it goes one way, and the other time you scream when it goes the other way. Yeah, it does it seem that college baseball, there has to be not just like, articulate reasonable suspicion. There has to be just overwhelming evidence plus, a cherry on the top for them to change a call.
I guess so. And I mean, it's not collaborative, right? I mean, this is not off-site replay. This is the umpires going to the monitor and deciding it themselves. So I didn't see it. The play at second base that benefited Southern Miss, I think they got that one wrong. And the play at first base, I was listening to David Kell and Brad Henderson at the time, and they watched one replay. They're like, oh, he's safe. Man, what a great play by Luke Hill, but he's safe. There's no this, and like David was setting up the inning, like, all right, it's going to be 1 out with a runner on first instead of 2 down in the inning, and they came back and they said out at first base. And he's like, what's going on here? He's like, and we're the broadcasters for Ole Miss. Like, thanks, we'll take it, but what are they doing?
That's really all you can say is to ask that question, and. Not to change it up, but yeah, I mean it is baffling sometimes. But just an interesting stat from last night, because Southern Miss hasn't really been that great with 2 outs. They scored all 7 of their runs last night with 2 outs.
It's incredible.
And so for the observation that the bullpen did a better job than the offense, that's a crazy wild stat that to score all 7 with 2 outs. But I think that just shows how great the bullpen was last night.
Yeah. Obviously a big weekend coming up to close it out. Texas State series starts tomorrow. Got them for 3 games. Southern Miss very clearly hot right now. Winners of 8 in a row. Trying to keep that rolling this weekend. Sweeps are hard, even when they're at home, but it feels like Southern Miss playing with a lot of confidence right now.
They are, but you want to talk about a really good 26 and 2017. Texas State has beat Texas 2 out of 3 times this year. They beat App State in a series. They beat James Madison in a series. And, oh, by the way, they took 2 of 3 from Troy last weekend, who was, at that time, the hottest team in the Sun Belt. Travis Creel told us on the Eagle Hour today, he talked to Troy's coach, and the Troy staff said, be aware, they're better than their record. But, yeah, I mean, the fact you get them at home, we haven't seen the rotation released yet for Texas State. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles now 5 guys over 300. And Slade Wilkes last night, 25-game hitting streak. He's like tied for 6th all time, I think now. So that they are playing with a ton of confidence, and to rehash again, they are capable of sweeping now if they get real deep games from Oldham and Mozzie in game 1 and 2 because of what the bullpen did last night.
So we've only got 30 seconds left. Baseball America came out with its newest projection. Southern Miss is a 2 seed in Athens. That's okay. We'll see. Do you hate that?
I think Hey Dad and I will be hanging out for 3 days. That's my personal observation or thought.
There you go.
Thanks,
down, Luke. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys. See you later.
Luke Johnson.